The future isn't too bright for these ISIS brides from the West. What's up, guys? This is GN Guy. If you like my content, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. So, the West is gonna sit on his ass. They're not gonna be proactive. Let's say a normal citizen was stuck in some third world country. The West would do everything in their power to get these people back. But in the case of Huda Montana, the West could do three things. They could go and take away their citizenship, put her in a different country. They can give her the citizenship, bring her back, which is very unlikely, or they could sit on their ass, which is the likely thing they're going to do. Now here's what's going to happen to them. Here's a little backstory on a little story. So in 1971, there was a civil war, and some might say it's a genocide. It was both, actually, in Bangladesh. It's where I'm kind of related to. My family's from this area. So basically, these are the Biharis. They were Muslim people who came into East Pakistan. Back then it was East Pakistan, and became Bangladesh in 1971 due to that war. And they were propped up by the establishment, by the military rulers, the Pakistanis. And they supported the Pakistanis in that war. And during that war, the Pakistanis committed genocide. They killed up to about 3 million people, and they raped about 200,000 women. So, par for the course. It was very similar to ISIS trying. They were trying to do basically a gendercide. They killed, and they went after Hindus. They told the Hindus to take off their trousers just to see if they're uncircumcised or not. If they were uncircumcised, they would have been killed. So, the Biharis were people that they were Biharis that supported the people who fought against the Pakistanis, yes. But there's also a large number of Biharis I don't know, I can't really assert what number there, but there were some Biharis that supported the Pakistanis. It was in their self-interest. They wanted to preserve their privileged status. Bangladeshis were third-class citizens. Biharis were second-class right after the Pakistanis. And after the war, they became stateless. They wanted to go back to Pakistan, but there was a plane that went to Pakistan with a bunch of Biharis, and there was a bomb attack. So right now, they live in this little squalid camp within Dhaka. That's the capital of Bangladesh, and this is the state they live in now.
In a ghetto for more than 40 years, through discrimination and total apathy from their own Muslim brothers. There are 70 similar camps across Bangladesh.
This is not a typical third world story of poverty.
Bangladesh signed by, this is a two agreement signed by the government of Bangladesh, India and Pakistan in 1974, and government of Pakistan and Bangladesh assure us that you will be repatriated to Pakistan.
See, these countries don't want to take back their citizens. The Biharis, even though they were loyal to Pakistan, the Pakistanis didn't want to do that, because that would have been first of all, it's a corrupt country, and the leaders of that country just take off all the treasury. They steal the treasury. Another thing, they don't want to bring these Biharis because they're a different ethnic group, and the Pakistanis are still playing the game of putting one ethnic group against another, just like the British used to do, and they're just still playing that same game, and it's not gonna work. It's just tearing their country apart. So they were trying to go back to Pakistan, and they failed, and now they kind of have to settle where they are.
We have requested the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh on frequent occasion, even in written, that we are also human beings, at least on a humanitarian ground, you please come forward. Help us rescue from the present situation and horrible situation.
Here's a fun fact about them. They do not hold Bangladeshi citizenship, so they cannot go to public schools. They're unable to get health care or aid, and any government aid, because they're not technically citizens. Bangladesh doesn't recognize them as citizens. I think this is what's going to happen to these ISIS fighters. They're going to stay in the place that they are going to live in. They're going to stay in that camp. That camp is going to evolve. UNHCR might come. That's what they did. UNHCR helped the Biharis back in 1971. and they're just going to stagnate and become pariahs in that country because their reputation is going to stick with them. They're just they're not going to be able to come back. I kind of feel bad for her son. I don't feel bad for her. She made the choice. Her son's a little kid, and little kids, I don't hold them accountable for their parents' actions. That's not something I want to do. In Britain, Home Secretary Sajid Javid issued an order revoking Miss Begum's citizenship of Richard Walton, a former. See, they're gonna play this little game. I don't know. It might end with her coming back, but that's gonna be a huge. Whoever approves of that is going to be completely destroyed. And I think it's probably going to be a civil servant because they're not really someone that's. And if it does get approved, it's probably going to be a civil servant because I don't think it's going to be someone that is elected. Instead of an elected official, it's going to be someone that's appointed. That's kind of. But the British and American refusal to take back these women and hundreds of other foreign fighters who joined ISIS means leaving them in Syria. They should. And why should the Syrians, who are suffering terrible violence inflicted by the Americans and European Islamic State members, have to deal with them? See, this is the best case scenario. The best case scenario is they stagnate in a camp. The worst case scenario is they completely get destroyed by these Syrians. Or the Kurds are the nicest people there. If Assad comes in, he's probably going to kill them. He drops bombs on his own people. You think he's going to hesitate on dropping bombs on a volatile, on an ISIS remnants? You think he's going to hesitate? See, the Turks, I don't know. They might take back they might kind of house the ISIS fighters just as a proxy against the Kurds. They might do that, but who knows? I grew up in Raqqa, a small Syrian city in the banks of the Euphrates. In 2014, ISIS took control of Raqqa and cut it off from the world, submitting us to an abuse of horror. The terror group called Raqqa the capital of the caliphate and began to publish sick videos calling the city a utopia, a paradise, and a scenic new jihadists started to join. Many Americans and Europeans like Mr. Mutana and Miss Begum heeded these calls, traveled to Syria in the regime of terror. Despite having no training in journalism, my friend and I started Citizen Journalist Collective, the Raqqa being slaughtered silently, and devised a documentary on these guys, I think. We exposed the atrocities committed by the ISIS. We worked at a great risk to the hypocrisy of Eliza media campaign by ISIS. Our resistance led the terror group to track, threaten, and kill several members of our group and family members. After being blacklisted and hunted by ISIS, I was forced to leave Raqqa into hiding and refuse refugee many times the countries of years. I've lived without my home and without a passport as I am wanted in the Syrian regime for opposing the dictator Bashar al-Assad. This is the actual refugees. Numerous Syrians lost their homes and escaped the twin terrors of Islamic State and Mr. Assad, and trying to reach Europe by placing their homes in the hands of the treacherous smugglers, crossing the turbulent seas and nearly impenetrable. The Mediterranean became a vast expanse of unmarked, sunken graves. Like the millions of Syrians who hold these passports with travel documents, numerous foreign fighters in the Islamic State destroyed their passports to hide their identities, spent years traveling between Syria and Turkey with relative ease. Now ISIS has defended the Syria, and the dreams of false caliphate has been crushed. Many of these members, group including Miss Begum, are crawling back to their countries of birth. Boo freaking who. I don't want these children to come back. I don't wish ill on them, but their parents made the choice, and if they die, they die. I honestly don't care. I don't care. Miss Mutana and Miss Begum, who have been recently arrested by Syrian Democratic forces, have been held and other Islamic State fighters at Al-Hol camp in northern Syria. Miss Mutana has left Alabama in 2014, Islamic State in Syria, and recently arrested in Syrian Democratic forces. She has expressed regret over the actions of recent interviews, and members of her Islamic State will use social media to call for murder. Miss Begum, who left Britain, Islamic State in 15, whatever. Every Syrian woman I spoke that they could never forgive anyone who joined or supported ISIS. They asked them, specifically Miss Mutana and Miss Begum. Every female friend replied these women should be arrested and prosecuted to save Syria and the world from danger they caught at some point. I hope they do get prosecuted. I hope they do die. Miss Begum, her son died. Boo-hoo. You know what? You made the choice. You made the choice to go there and your son died because of your actions. Don't blame the British government. And these stupid freaking liberals in the UK blaming the British government for, oh my god, you're responsible for the death of her child. Shut up. Miss Begum is responsible for the death of her child. The British government decision not to take responsibility for Miss Begum or take her back, put her in trial under custody, denied her opportunity to get medical attention, could have saved his life. British government should not be responsible for this. They should not risk British lives going there with the doctor or getting medevacing her, risking British soldiers' lives to get this traitor back to the UK. She could come on her own, and then they could prosecute her. But that's if she has a passport. American and European governments need to take responsibility for these foreign fighters of the Islamic State, and decision about the future should be made penal system of their countries. Syrians must not be forced to take care of them. We need to purge people like this from Syria and our country and every recovery in the plague. We must remove Syria immediately and forever. So like Huda Mutana and a bunch of ISIS fighters, if they do stay in Syria, this is the fate of their children. These are the children of the people who in Bangladesh considered traitors and oppressors. This is their children. This is what this guy is saying.
Minister of Bangladesh, the world leaders, the world community, United Nations Organization, UNICEF, and other diplomatic agencies who are working for the humanity in distress to please come forward. And we have lost everything what we had previously. But please save us, save our new generation who are in the path of unition.
It's sad. I mean, a lot of these children who were born after the war, they had nothing to do with, even if their parents were oppressors or Razakars, they were basically the militia that killed innocent Bengalis. I don't hold any ill will towards their children. Their children are innocent, and unfortunately their parents' actions and their ancestors' actions caused them to be in this conundrum. So guys, if you like my content, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe.